Warning: the following podcast is brought to you by real officers in their fields of work. All stories told are accurate and will not disclose any names, dates, or locations of events. May contain contents about nudity, drugs, alcohol, and violence. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to Lawful Laughs, where we laugh about unlawful affairs. I'm your host, Titan, with my co-host, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good tonight, Titan. My just like a couple episodes ago, my Detroit Pistons won another game tonight. We're 21-19. Pretty good, convincing win over the New York Knicks. They're having a pretty good season. We're joined tonight by some very special guests. First of all, Officer Radar is back from hell.
not sick.
We're joined again by Officer Grace and a new officer. We've got Officer Pocket Cop here. So we got some pretty good guests tonight. We're gonna have a pretty good episode. I'm excited. Radar, Grace, Pocket Cop, how are we doing tonight?
Honestly, you know
I'm
what?
doing good.
For as cold as it is outside, honestly, pretty good. We're nice and warm. Have some snacks here, ready to get this episode on and rolling.
You know, I want to touch back on your little Pistons. Just a disgraceful,
Yeah.
disgraceful little thing happened to me yesterday night. My Packers ended up getting eliminated first round, like they always do every year. It's
Go Lions.
pretty expected, but you know, I kind of look forward to that. But anyway, so tonight's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about intoxicated individuals. We're going to kind of shorten it up for Intox Talks. We got some pretty good stories on this one, because 90% of people outside of intoxicated on some sort of drug comes in on alcohol. And if anybody has ever been to a bar or been around anybody intoxicated, very clearly knows that there can be some of the most awkward conversations you ever had in your life. And this, in this type of setting, is kind of amps things up a little bit. So I'll start it off with a very, very small memory I had. Not a bad talk, actually. Had this drunken female come in probably about 2 years ago and just absolutely blitzed. I mean, you can tell that she was probably drunker than she's ever been in her life. And all she wanted to do was, she kept claiming she just wants a friend to talk to. And I have to admit, jail is not this place to get a friend to talk to. Well,
just a friend.
Yeah, I mean, weren't you out with your friends at the time?
Mm-hmm.
That you probably did some dumb shit, and now you ended up in jail. Well, anyway, to start things off with this evening, it was really just an average intoxicated intake. We had pretty much a very quick procedure with people that are intoxicated, because there's not a whole lot you can do legally or medically with people that are impaired.
Sure.
So we just do a very quick intake on this person. And it comes to be about the time to get her put away. And every facility typically has a dedicated location to place intoxicated individuals, and which we did as well. And I have to admit that the funniest thing about it was she did not want to go in there. And it wasn't more of a combative situation. It was more of a, oh, well, you guys are now my friends. I want to hang out with you. Almost like she's like a 12-year-old. And just separation anxiety, maybe. I mean, because this intoxicated female is going completely by herself in a 4 concrete wall with a bunch of steel bars in it. And not to mention that she's a first timer too. So it's the first time she's ever been in jail.
You gotta find some way to make yourself comfortable, I guess. Allegedly befriend all the guards.
Yeah. And to you, or to us, I'm just like, well, you just screwed your entire life up because you come in on OWI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on her behalf, it's just like, oh, new friends. But I do have to say that she did not befriend any of us on our perspective. to us, since we deal with intoxicated individuals quite often, it was more or less annoying. Well, so next thing I know, she finally calmed down for a minute. And next thing I know, I hear like screaming bloody murder. Except there was context behind this singing. And she was screaming bloody murder while trying to sing the national anthem.
What? What?
Come on, man.
So she
Was it
is
good at least?
not in the slightest. So we had the one officer. We'll name him Officer Hillbilly. And Officer Hillbilly didn't have a fuse with anybody. And so as soon as he hears this female screaming and yelling bloody murder, but yet singing the national anthem, he's like, "The fuck is this goddamn bitch singing?" He's like, "Can I go tell this bitch to shut the fuck up?" And I was like, you know what, Officer Hillbilly, you go right ahead and do that. You do that. Because now, mind you, he didn't have any interaction with her when she first came in. So she had no idea what he was getting into. With that being said, I sent him over to do so. And let's just say this interaction lasted probably about 30 seconds before he come back and he said, "Motherfucker, if you ever send me to talk to that stupid cunt again, I'm going to kill myself." Well, some people have daddy issues, and I think we found out she did too.
Did she call him daddy?
I can't confirm nor deny what exactly was said during this.
So she was looking for more than a friend.
Absolutely. And luckily, the professionalism with the officers that we had on duty that night, obviously, she didn't find more than a friend. But I have to say, out of all people, the individual that Officer Hillbilly that went to go talk to her was the absolute last person you're going to want to try to befriend, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to put it in your butt, all right, but it wasn't going to be the way you wanted it.
That's crazy. Wow.
And that's just a little quick snippet that I can start things off with. And I'm sure we have different guests here tonight that have quite a few stories of their own here.
Oh yeah, I feel like one of the things you encounter the most working in corrections, especially if you're unfortunate enough to be placed on night shift, is these intoxicated individuals. And the funny thing about them is that a lot of them aren't even combative. A lot of them just do little stupid shit like terribly singing the national anthem and calling the guards daddy. One segment we're gonna go into really quickly is seeing as how we have Officer Radar back. I don't know if you guys hear that noise, but my radar is going off. I think it's just about time to read it. I think it's just about time to read the radar.
Yes, I like that idea. I think we got a little blip on the map here.
All right, so this week's question, I know since we kind of thought about beforehand, we're gonna kind of this week we're talking about intox people and whatnot. I wanted to kind of break the ice a little bit here with probably a very, I think, in my opinion, a good question is, what is one of the like most unique things that you've experienced while like having we've I don't know, I think a fair number of us here have dealt with intox people, but what is the most like weird or unique thing that you have experienced while dealing with an intox person? Maybe like they're singing the national anthem, maybe they're just going off the
That's definitely
walls and
weird.
saying everything under the sun. Just kind of what's more so the weirdest experience ever that you've ever had or dealt with, or at least been around in terms of with an intox person.
Oh man.
I think honestly, it's not even like like one person in specifically. I think the way I'm gonna answer that question is like just the like. So I think the most intoxicated I've seen somebody come in is like a point like just under like hospitalization, like 0.24, like the high 0.24s. Just the way that like I had one individual come in, um, and they blew like super high, and they're just acting normal, like just every day, like that's something they've done every day.
True
And
alcoholic.
yeah, for real. And I think that's probably the most unique thing to me is that like I mean, obviously you can't finish their booking process, but like just the way people can drink so much and just be okay. Not that I've ever drank before, but being underage, not that I've ever drank before, but like I know, I mean, that's gotta fuck you up. That it has to. Like high
Well,
0.24s and that's gotta
Uh,
mess you up. That's just, I mean,
that reminds me of an individual that came in probably like what, just recently, and he came in and he was an older individual. He was coming back from. He said he was a music arts performer. So on and so forth. So he
mm,
comes back and he gets he gets our intake, comes in, and he blows like I think like a 2.3 or 2 point something like that, 2.4. It's like 9 p.m. and this guy, he said he was coming back from somewhere in central Indiana, and we're all the way up, up north. So it was just crazy. It was just completely normal. Came in, um, was talking like clearly fine. Like I could make sense talking to him. He could have a full on conversation with me. Blew a 2 point, like a high 2.3, and he was just perfectly normal, and that just blew my mind because I'm like, how are you even walking normally, let alone like being able to coherently talk and just act like a normal person? It just blew me
not this
away.
guy. I don't drink at all. I don't consume alcohol in any nature. And for me to consume any sort of alcohol, my 0.2 levels. So if you don't know the state we are residing in and currently employed in, 0.08 is our legal driving limit. Well, 2.3 is insane. Now you could probably have about 5-6 beers for me, and I'm hitting 0.4. I haven't drank in a very, very long time. But I have to say one of the funniest ones that or unique ones per se, would be the fact is drunk people love to be naked, or they love to show off what they got, and I don't get it. I truly don't.
there's just like a confidence it instills in you, man. I'm telling you.
Liquid
I mean,
courage.
yeah. Yes, exactly. They call it liquid courage, and that's exactly what males and females both get. Some
Yeah.
want to fight, some want to get naked, some want you to fuck. Well,
Yeah.
and
So,
every single time I came across this individual, I thought I was on a military base. I thought the Black Hawk helicopter was about to take off. And for some of you that may not know, this individual was taking his dick and doing the helicopter every single time.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's crazy.
And I don't know if it was just the timing, or if it was just he was literally constantly just sitting in there just swinging his pecker around. But every time you open the window to check on him, you just like, oh well, there goes the Black Hawk again.
Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, bud. I mean, if you got to whip it out and pretend it's a helicopter, then you just got to do it.
Yeah. I can't say I do
That's
that,
crazy.
but
Hey, I can't say I do it either, but you know what? God damn it, if I felt like it, who's stopping me?
That's
your
crazy.
dignity, I hope,
Oh, buddy.
or size, one or the other.
Probably a mixture of both.
Grace, what about you? You got anything?
I'd say one of the craziest things that I've seen was when this female came in, and she had marker all over her face. I kept saying random shit. Was calling me sir or your honor
Oh yeah.
or an
Your honor.
alien.
I don't know this one.
Or the man of her dreams.
I was there for that.
I don't know what she was seeing, but she obviously wasn't seeing me. Because
Well,
I looked directly down at myself and I contemplated my gender.
at least she was being respectful.
Yeah, until she started slamming her face Pennywise style into the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, her forehead was
I
burnt the next day.
remember that individual. Yeah.
Yeah, she had to be wrecked.
Nice.
Yeah, 3 times.
Pocket cop. What about you, bud?
Well, I've had a few interesting encounters. Probably my favorite story was I just came back from hip surgery, and this guy, I don't even know why he wasn't at the hospital because his blood alcohol percentage was extremely high. But I probably just had hip surgery 2 weeks before, and me and another officer had to carry him into the padded room, and he peed himself on the floor. And he kept calling me dad. And
Calling you dad?
Yeah, and then he started hitting his face on the padded cell door. So mind you, I'm the only officer down there that signed off. We had another officer that was in training down there, but I opened the door to the padded cell to tell him to stop, and he grabs me to push me back. And I hip tossed him with my freshly surgeried hip. And I got locked in the cell.
God.
So the door closed behind you and you're locked in.
Yeah, at this point, like I said, I was 2 weeks off surgery and had him handcuffed, hip tossed, and almost wrapped by myself.
So, was it a situation where you were stuck in there with him, or was he stuck in there with you?
I don't think he really remembers it. I remember talking to him after he had sobered up, and he wasn't all there. I think he kind of drank his last chromosome away. But
But he drank himself stupid.
or hang on, I think I have a better story than that. We had an alcoholic individual come in, and he kept saying that he had to go to Domino's to go eat with his mom, and he kept saying that there's people trying to break in and steal his refrigerator.
But he had to go to Domino's.
I think Coach was there for that as well.
Did anybody ask him if his refrigerator was running, or?
I'm pretty sure I pressed the intercom and told him it was God and to stop hitting the door.
Did this technique work after you were God?
You were there. He kept doing it all day.
Oh, I like that. I like that point at the end. All day. That's because it's really what these people do. Like until they sober up. At least the ones that. Cause there are three types of drunk individuals. The combative ones, the morons,
criers.
and the ones that are like so chill. Like that's true. That is true. Like you're sitting in your cell doing nothing, you're sitting in your cell doing dumb shit, or you're sitting in your cell contemplating whether or not you want to fight me.
Fighting is the worst option, but they don't see that until it happens.
Oh yeah, that's true. Until they're already 35 minutes into the rap and they've realized what they've done.
I do kind of enjoy the funny shit that they say, though. Like, I had a guy tell me that if he looked like me, he'd kill himself.
Hey, there you go.
And I asked him if he was suicidal, and he asked me if I was suicidal, and then said, "Never mind, I'd be suicidal if I looked like you." And I was like, "Damn." Yeah.
Now, you mentioned this was a male, right?
Yeah,
it was.
that? He also got wrapped. I kind of forget what happened with him. He was a little combative, and he honestly didn't remember anything the next day and apologized because I told him, I asked him if he was feeling better. And he said, "Oh shit, were you there when I was acting a fool?" And I said, "Yep." And he apologized.
Now, no disrespect here at all, Officer Grace, but I am a male as well, and if I looked like you being a female, I'd probably be suicidal as well. I don't
Damn, that's
want to look
hot.
like a I don't want to look like a
Damn.
female. I mean,
Okay.
not necessarily your
Damn.
personality or your like physical statures, but I like just being a female. If I'm a male, I don't want to look like a female.
Fair.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's
Like I
valid.
mean, like you have your feminine males out there that definitely is commonly known as drag. That apparently just never had the balls to get full surgery done. I guess, huh, pun intended there, because you won't
There
have
you go.
balls.
I appreciate the explanation. I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to start with no disrespect to her. Like, I am not looking like a female if I'm a male. Like, he was obviously trying to get under her skin.
It was still funny though.
Yeah.
I definitely would have to say, same, vice versa. I mean, same thing for a female. Like, if I'm a female, I don't think I want to look like a male. I mean, some do.
Yeah, to
Hence
be
this
fair.
whole
Some
Yeah.
definitely do.
2024 gig now that
Probably
everybody
why they
wants to
drink a lot
have.
sometimes.
You know, when I was younger, I used to drink, so these people would be hotter. Not because I enjoyed. I'm like, well, this bitch be talking to me. She ugly. I'm gonna go have a few mixed drinks and maybe she'll look better. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't.
Hey,
That's crap. I was about to say,
lifelong
does it
saying.
work or?
Lifelong
Sometimes
saying
you just
is
don't give a shit.
the lifelong saying is the more you put down, the higher that number goes.
Mm.
I mean,
'Cause you can go
that's
from
valid
a
for
4
some.
to an 8 real quick.
Would indeed, I have to agree. To get kind of back more on topic here, everything is pretty much intoxicated. Some of the ones you have when it comes to dealing with intoxicated individuals is more or less the humor that you get out of it when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more based for the officer perspective because, I mean, you know, to them, they think they're Billy Badass, or they're just, like Officer Grace said, they're just Miss Tears all the time. So, that being said, you know, we have somebody that's combative, or somebody that just wants to talk, or somebody that wants a friend with daddy issues, whatever it may be.
Could be both.
It could be. But then once we have completed our assignment with this individual, that's when it's time that the officers sit back, relax, congratulate each other, good job, whatever it may be. Or you sit there and be like, God, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Oh, I hate it when they're screaming bloody murder and you have to move them in the back. But you can still hear them.
Yes. Moving them far away is nice,
That's...
but not always nice enough.
And all the other inmates up front are pissed because they're trying to sleep.
Yeah, they're non-combative, non-intoxicated. They're normal, just like, okay, I screwed up. I'm going to do my bit, whatever. And then you have a guy or gal that comes in just absolutely obliterated on alcohol, and
All the peace is gone.
yeah, there's no more. There's no more peace and quiet. Moving with that, I think it's rather humorous that the amount of people that we actually get to deal with that truly can sit there and claim, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing when I'm intoxicated. But turn around the very next day and was like, whoa, was I in a car wreck? Because I'm sore. No, motherfucker, you had about 4 officers slam me on the concrete. Like, oh, I don't remember that. Was I drunk? Like, do you not know what you did the night before?
I think that's the main trait of most of them is they're not drunk until they wake up the next morning and they realize they were drunk.
I feel like
that is
they do
true.
remember sometimes, but they just are so embarrassed that they don't want to acknowledge that they remember.
That's
And that
fair.
could be.
I probably wouldn't acknowledge it either.
especially if you don't really know. Like, I understand not remembering what you did when you're drunk, and if you have like street stories to elaborate on that, like if you're partying with your friends or sitting at home with your buddies and you get drunk and then your buddies all get with you the next day and say, dude, you were blowing up balloons and pretending they were condoms, or vice versa.
Hmm.
You know, like you may not remember that.
Buddy,
So
you've got to be a special type of drunk to put a balloon on your genitals. Oh my lord. Have you been that drunk before, or are you just putting balloons on your genitals, or is this a story of personal experience, or?
Well, I think this story kind of comes from Officer Pocket Cop. You want to elaborate on this, bud?
Well, we invited somebody to hang out, and this person thought they were gonna get lucky, so they bought probably about 47 condoms.
Buddy,
God.
Damn,
47?
holy,
Yeah,
holy.
it got to the point where the
47.
cashier gave them a bunch for free, out of like a charity.
we've got to do the
Cherry's
math and see how
crazy.
many times in one night you can have. How many times in an 8-hour night can you have sex with 47 condoms? What's the math there?
I think it's 47. I think they're only meant to be used once.
Damn, that's crazy.
Um,
You
but
got to be ready. You never know.
we get back to my house, and the individual, he doesn't have very much experience with women, and he
Let's call
he
this
thought
officer
making
Officer Doofy.
Officer
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 Doofy.
Doofy. He has no experience with women, so what does he do when he sees the first woman come in the house? He decides to make fucking balloon animals out of condoms.
That's actually pretty funny, though.
Hey, it's the
Is it a
same
turn
concept
on
as
though?
money. You got to spend money to make money, bub.
Actually, Officer Coach, you know this individual.
I'm sure I do.
So that analogy you just used there, you're claiming that you need to make condom balloons before you can use condom balloons?
Hey, you gotta impress the male or female. And then once they're impressed, it's just after that, it's just over, bub. You're in there. I mean, you gotta spend the money to make the money, bub. If you gotta spend your condoms to use them sexually, then I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, bub.
Well, I mean, to teach his own, I suppose. I don't know if I'm gonna be the the balloon animal of the party, but I mean, there's you're right. There are different unique ways that people try to impress. Um, Now I'm a little bit on the older generation side of things than this Officer Doofy we're speaking of. But I have to say, my first theory when I went to a party, and I've been to a few in my day, is not making condom animals. And the only animals going in the condom is my animal.
Okay. No, I like that. I like that. That's a bar. Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. The only animal going in my condom is my animal. I might use that.
Well, you never know.
One of these days, I'll find use for that, and it will be absolutely stolen. I'll probably quote you too. Officer Titan said that. A very great man.
Quoting that shit to your great grandkids or some shit.
Buddy, oh my god.
I'm going to go ahead and start jumping on this next person here. So we have one individual that I pretty much call him a lifer. He comes in, I'd have to say probably once, maybe twice a year. And he is always on something alcohol related. Always.
Oh no.
You're sorry. You're saying his charges are alcohol related, or he's just
Yeah.
always drunk? Okay, I see.
Yeah. Anytime you hear about him on the radio, or if we get a call from dispatch letting us know that we have this specific individual coming in, we already know that it's going to be a drunk intake. And this guy that I'm speaking of is not someone that one officer is going to take on at a time. You're going to need 2 or 3, if not more. And as soon as that name's mentioned, you better get the cavalry ready.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Well, we had one night, and this is in our old facility. We had one night, he come in, and me and my commanding officer have pretty good rapport with this individual. And so our initial thought was, hey, let's you and I go try to talk to him because we have good rapport when he's not intoxicated. I think her and I talked for probably 15-ish minutes before we just realized this wasn't happening. And I have to say, the conclusion came to that we're going to have to go in on this guy, and it's not going to work. Well, I had a fairly new officer at the time that was with us, so we didn't want them going in on this guy. And funny story is like, well, her and I are going to take this. So her and I will take this. And now we also have 1 county unit, 2 city units, and we had 3 other jail officers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we go in and we get him pressed against the back wall. And mind you, he's in the padded cell at the time. And so I'm not really too worried about he's going to get hurt because, I mean, he's in the padded cell. So, I mean, you get hurt, you probably shouldn't be acting stupid anyway. But so me and one of the biggest county guys go in, grab this guy. And at this point, he's not really combative, but he's, let's use passive resistive right now because he's not fighting us. But he's like, I need to fucking pee. You're not putting me in here. I'm not staying here. These are wrong. I shouldn't be in here. I just got pissed off at the wife and I was walking down the street and typical false arrest. Oh, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. These ain't my pants. But I don't know about you, but I don't put random ass dudes' pants on and just say they're not mine. I don't know. Anyway,
it happens.
So we're looking at each other, myself and this county officer. We said, we going to the ground? Because at this point, we don't even care. Like, we have hands on him already. We can't really go back and formulate a plan. So I was like, we're gonna put hands there, put him to the ground. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So the poor city officer that was behind this guy didn't have a clue that we were looked at each other, said to the ground, and immediately went to the ground. Well, like I mentioned in a previous episode, I weigh about 306 pounds. And when me and this county officer dumped this guy on his face, the city officer fell on his back. Well, I was holding him in like a half Nelson type of thing, and he clenched his elbow down and had a hold of my hand. So when we flipped this guy, I flipped with him. And that poor city officer that was on the back of him was laying on top of him. And then my 300-pound ass with no holds barred just absolutely came crushing down on top of the city guy.
Buddy,
now,
was he okay?
Well, let's just say that when I hit him, all I heard was, oh! And at the time, I didn't realize if it was him or if it was the inmate, because the inmate is on the bottom of all this. So not only do you have the inmate laying on the ground face down, you have the city officer on top of him, and then you have a 300-pounder basically like just jumping off the top rope on top of you. And I couldn't tell if it was him or if it was the officer. Well, we proceeded to do everything else we needed to do. We got him detained and he was secured. And the next day, that officer came in and we were joking about it. And he goes, I asked him, I was like, hey, bud, how's your back feel? And he goes, well, my lower back's pretty sore, but I don't know what I did to it. And I was like, yeah, you had my big back ass fall on top of you. And he goes, you're the reason that happened? And I was like, no, you can blame your buddy, County, because county is the one that didn't let me get my arm free before it happened.
Is this the same individual that they needed more officers to fight, and he got out of the rap?
Yeah. While in the padded room.
I was told it was in the hallway. They put him in the rap, and then he escaped the rap. While there was like 2 jail officers, maybe 3, and like 6 cops.
I don't think that's the same individual. I don't recall. It was the old facility and the padded cell. I don't think we actually ever wrapped that individual in the hallway.
I remember someone else telling me about, if we're talking about the same person, that it was in the hallway and that they had like the entire county in there.
What, in the whole county? Jesus.
Because he's a big motherfucker, you know?
Those are the most annoying ones. The ones that come in drunk that are just some big ass motherfuckers, bro. You got to take you and your whole family have to fight them.
Shit. I'm bringing the whole cavalry, state, county, next city.
Next county. Hey, there you go, bud.
I mean, just imagine
Taking
having
on a fucking bear.
I don't care how big you are, how badass you think you are. But I have to say,
Drunk strength.
law enforcement, you don't want to fight alone, and then you get a drunk fighter.
They just don't feel anything.
No, and they don't care. It's just like almost fighting somebody that's out on meth. Like, it's just,
they don't value themselves in that moment.
No, not at all. And most of the time, the alcohol, they don't feel it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've watched, never in person, I've watched body cam footage from other agencies of people that are intoxicated, getting tased, getting beanbagged, and just laugh it off.
Laugh it off, jeez. Well, what do you do at that point, honestly? I mean, you just, like, they're just laughing at you.
I probably rethink my life choices, honestly.
I mean, what else can you do?
I mean, especially if you've exhausted all your tools that you're given, and they're just like, ha ha. Yeah, bud. You want my duties? Here you go. You can have it. I'm done. Going home.
Yeah, good game, bub. You win.
Because you can't use lethal. I mean,
no.
Like, because if you think about it, like, what's their next option if you exhaust all your non-lethal options on the road? What's your next option? Lethal force. Well, unfortunately, inside a jail, a prison, a detainment center, a detention center, whatever your agency calls it, you don't just like whip out your 40 and be like, all right, motherfucker. Like, we just can't do that. Now, we definitely have plenty of utensils to use.
Yeah.
But it's almost everything has to be exhausted. And at that point, you just shoot for more manpower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that's the good part about working at the jail is that, like, you can just, I mean, if you call dispatch, they're going to send, if you call dispatch and say, hey, we need help, I mean, they're going to send state, county, city. If you need it, you're getting other counties. Like, I mean, like at what point, like, any fight, if you need it, like, you can go into a fight straight 1v 22 people. Like,
Yeah.
there aren't many situations where you don't have access to all of these tools on the streets. I mean, all these human beings that can come in. Because at the end of the day, like, a body's a body. And if
This
if you
is
need
true.
them, I mean, get them, bro. There's no point in losing. Because if you lose that fight, I mean, if you go in on a if you underestimate a drunk person and go in, and I mean, God forbid you lose. I mean, then what? I mean, you're cooked. I mean, depending on the individual, like, I mean, you just can't afford to lose, especially against a drunk person. Come on, man, they can barely walk. Most of them.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and half the
depending.
time they don't even deal with just drunk people and alcohol. Like, it's also drugs. They just got that drug strength in them. They could
That is
take
also
on
true.
3 officers at the same time
That is also true.
and escape the wrath. Like, shit.
Hulk smash.
Yeah, for real.
They got that drug strength.
Straight. Yeah, Hulk ass motherfuckers, bro. We got any other stories?
Officer Pocket, Officer Radar, got anything to close out with?
No, I think that I
I'm
would like to
good
share
here.
a funny story of Officer Coach
Uh-oh.
Okay.
when he was in training by yours truly. Because this guy was an
The
intox
Officer
intake.
Coach rookie story.
This guy was a drunk intake, but he bonded the next day. And
Okay.
he was Hispanic, so they kind of have their typical work attire that they wear, like a little high vis vest action.
Oh my god!
Like you could tell that he worked construction,
I
but when
was
it came time
new.
to bond him out, there was another individual who was a midnight release who was not Hispanic. He was black, and he had like a Jordan outfit with like Jordan shoes, and this individual was like 6'5". Well, Officer Coach was doing the bond and went to go change him out. And this dude spoke no English, and he kept trying to tell him that they weren't his clothes, but he still put them on.
Oh my god! He's in our bathroom. And this non-speaking Hispanic individual is like trying, like with his hands and every way, like trying to tell me like I don't recognize these clothes. These aren't my clothes. And I'm like, dude, like, and here I'm thinking this guy's just being an ass. I'm like, bro, I'm probably an hour away from getting off my shift. Like, just put the clothes on, bro. Like, you're getting out of jail. Just put the clothes on.
These really are not my pants.
Yeah, and well, but he couldn't tell me that in English, so he puts the clothes on and comes out, and Pocket Cop comes out into the booking area and is like, "Hey, why is he in that clothes?" I'm like, "'Cause he's getting released." Like, what type of dumbass question is that? He's like, he's like, "Coach, those aren't his clothes." I said, "What are you talking about, bro?" And yeah, those weren't his clothes. No, those
It
were
was
not his clothes.
it was very noticeable. The sweatshirt was 3 sizes too big. The shoes were like 6 sizes too big.
Hey, I mean,
And
people wear. I mean,
he had on like a 5-pound like Nike silver necklace.
yeah, but the guy was super chill about it. I mean, he took them all off. Didn't steal anything, as far as we know to this day. Almost 9 months later, didn't steal any of that guy's shit. Just took it off, took his clothes, and went home. And now he's, I don't know, doing whatever people do when they get out of jail. Probably working, living a life. I don't think he's been back since. So he's chilling, probably.
I'm pretty
Funny
sure he came
story.
back like the next week.
Did he?
Yeah.
Which
Well, I
one, the
guess
Hispanic or the Jordans?
the
Both.
Hispanic. Pretty sure.
Ironically, both.
That's a unique scenario. You don't come across that very often.
It's the same Intox guy that Officer Grippers told him that the medicine was tequila in the cup, and he ate the whole cup. If you remember that story.
This is tequila. Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah. Well, with that being said, I think we're ready to wrap it up. Everybody, are we good?
No, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
good here on
good.
Radar's end.
Good night.
Hell yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. This has been Lawful Last. My name is Officer Coach. I'm joined by my host, Officer Titan. We had some guests, Officer Grace and Officer Pocket Cop, and God resurrected Officer Radar. He was back with us today. No longer rest in peace, Officer Radar. He's here in the flesh.
No longer on duty.
So we appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.